Ladies and gentlemen, tennis fans from across the globe, and specifically the millions of hearts beating in unison across the Asian continent, welcome back. If you are joining us right now, you have arrived at a moment that history will likely bookmark as a turning point. We are live covering the Mubadala Abu Dhabi Open, a WTA 500 event that usually promises high-octane tennis, but tonight it has delivered something far more profound than just a match. It has delivered a statement screamed from a baseline, echoed at the net, and felt in the very foundations of Asian sports history. The headline is flashing across screens from Manila to Jakarta, from Tokyo to Dubai. Whole Asia is shocked, but perhaps shocked is too mild a word. Electrified might be better. Vindicated might be more accurate. We are talking about the women's doubles round of 16, a match that many circled on their calendars as a curiosity, a Southeast Asian special, but which is mutated into a gladiatorial epic. On one side of the net, we had the newly formed Dream Team alliance of Philippines' golden girl Alexandra Eala and Indonesia's rising star Janice Jean, a partnership born from rivalry, forged in the fires of regional competition, and now united under the banner of Southeast Asian excellence. On the other side, the heavy favorites, the veterans, the sheer wall of experience, the Filipino-Canadian sensation Leylah Fernandez, and the decorated French double specialist Kristina Mladenovic. Let's be real about the narrative coming into this. The tennis world, the pundits, the betting odds, they all looked at this draw and saw a distinct hierarchy. You have Fernandez, a Grand Slam finalist, and Mladenovic, a multiple Grand Slam doubles champion. They represent the establishment, the proven commodity, the high-ranking powerhouses. Then you had Eala and Chen, talented, absolutely, promising, without a doubt, but on the WTA 500 stage against a duo of that caliber, they were the underdogs. They were the spirited challengers expected to put up a fight, learn a lesson, and bow out gracefully. But sports, my friends, does not follow a script written by statisticians. Tonight, under the floodlights of the Z Sports City International Tennis Center, the script was rewritten in sweat and grit. We have just witnessed a match that defies the simple logic of rankings. We have seen a display of chemistry from Eala and Chen that usually takes years to develop, yet they found it in days. We have seen the Civil War narrative, Eala versus Fernandez, the Philippines' homegrown hero versus the global icon with Filipino heritage, play out not with animosity, but with a ferocious competitive respect that pushed both women to their absolute limits. This result, and I won't spoil the specific scoreline just yet, because a journey to that final point is where the magic lies, is sending shockwaves because it disrupts the status quo. It tells the world that the tennis boom in Southeast Asia isn't coming. It is here. It is breathing. It is fighting, and it is winning. Alex Eala, fresh off her career-high ranking of world number 45, and Janice Jean, the first Indonesian WTA semi-finalist, stepped onto that court not just as players, but as ambassadors. The pressure on their shoulders was immense. You have the expectations of two archipelagos, two nations that are absolutely tennis-crazed, but often starve for top-tier representation on the biggest stages. Tonight, they didn't just carry that weight, they use it as a weapon. What we are dissecting today is more than forehands and backhands. It is about the mental fortitude required to stare down a Grand Slam champion like Mladenovic at the net and not blink. It is about the tactical brilliance of neutralizing Leylah Fernandez's redirection of pace. It is about the sheer audacity of two young women who looked at the favorites label and decided to tear it up. Stay tuned. You are not going to want to miss a second of this breakdown. We are going to go game by game, set by set. We will analyze the serves, the returns, the volley exchanges that happen at lightning speed. We will discuss what this means for Eala's season, for Jean's rising stock, and for the future of Asian tennis partnerships. This is the Mubadala Abu Dhabi Open. This is the match that stopped the region. This is the deep dive. Let's transition immediately into the substance of this encounter. To understand the magnitude of what unfolded on the court today, we first have to understand the context of the combatants. First, look at the opposition, Leylah Fernandez and Kristina Mladenovic. This is a terrifying combination. Mladenovic is arguably one of the most skilled double
doubles players of her generation. She has hands of gold at the net, court coverage that suffocates opponents, and a tennis IQ in doubles that is second to none. Pair that with Leylah Fernandez, a lefty like Eala, but one who thrives on chaos, who takes the ball early, and who brings a singles player's intensity to the doubles alley. They are a team that can beat you with power, but prefers to beat you with geometry. They open angles that shouldn't exist. Now look at our Southeast Asian challengers, Alexandra Eala and Janice Jean. Rivals to partners is the headline everyone is using, and it fits. Remember, Jen defeated Eala in the quarterfinals of the Sao Paulo Open last year. They know each other's games intimately, usually as enemies, but in doubles, that knowledge transforms. Jean knows exactly where Eala likes to place her serve, which means she knows exactly how to poach off it. Eala knows Jen's movement patterns, so she knows exactly when to switch and cover a line. The match began with a palpable tension in the air. The crowd in Abu Dhabi, heavily populated by Filipino and Indonesian expatriates, created an atmosphere that felt less like a neutral venue and more like a Davis Cup or Billie Jean King Cup tie. The energy was electric, but it was also heavy. Set 1, the baptism of fire. The first set was a masterclass in welcome to the big leagues from Fernandez and Mladenovic. Right out of the gate, Mladenovic targeted the Jen serve. It was a clear tactical decision. They wanted to isolate the Indonesian, keeping the ball away from Eala's heavy lefty forehand. Mladenovic crowded the net, cutting off angles, forcing Jen to try and hit perfect passing shots just to survive the point. We saw Eala struggling to find her rhythm on the return early on. Fernandez's serve, while not the fastest on tour, is incredibly deceptive. She uses a slice out wide on the ad court that pulls the returner off the court, opening up the middle for Mladenovic to simply punch a volley away. It's a classic doubles play, executed with surgical precision. By the fifth game, Eala and Jen were down a break. The score was 4-1. At this point, the shock everyone is talking about seemed impossible. It looked like a routine day at the office for the favorites. The disparity in experience was glaring. Eala was overhitting, trying to force winners from impossible positions, perhaps feeling the need to carry the team. Jen looked tight, her footwork just a fraction of a second slower than usual. But then something shifted in the 7 game. It was a subtle change, but critical. Eala and Jen started communicating more. You could see it between points. The hand gestures, the whispers, the high fives, even after lost points. They stopped playing as two singles players sharing a court and started moving as a unit. They started targeting Alexandra Fernandez's backhand volley. It's a risky strategy because Fernandez is so solid, but they noticed she was struggling slightly with a high ball. Eala began using her heavy topspin forehand not to hit through Fernandez, but to dip the ball at her feet. This is a maturity we've been waiting to see from Eala. She realized she couldn't out-hit them, so she had to outmaneuver them. Despite a late surge where they broke back once, Fernandez and Mladenovic close out the first set 6-4, but the momentum had shifted. The 6-4 scoreline flattered the favorites. The last 3 games of that set were a dogfight. Eala and Jen had woken up. Set 2, the SEA resurgence. The second set began, and the Southeast Asian duo came out with a completely different energy. It was controlled aggression. Janice Jean, who had been targeted in the first set,
suddenly became the aggressor. She started poaching aggressively at the net. This is a terrifying thing to do against Mladenovic, who can reflex a ball back faster than you can blink. But Jen was fearless. She intercepted 3 crosses in the opening game alone. The hold serve. This freed up Eala with Jen holding the fort at the net. Eala could unleash from the baseline. We saw the Eala forehand, that weapon that has taken her to the top 50, start to dictate play. She was pushing Mladenovic back, forcing the Frenchwoman away from her comfort zone at the net and pinning her to the baseline. When Mladenovic is at the baseline, she is still dangerous, but she is manageable. When she is at the net, she is lethal. Eala's job was to keep her back, and she executed it perfectly. The turning point of the second set came at 3-3. Fernandez was serving. It was a marathon game, lasting over 12 minutes, 5 deuces. The crowd was chanting Alex Janice. The noise was deafening. On the 6th deuce, Eala ripped a return down the line, a no-man's land shot that caught Mladenovic freezing. Break point. On the next point, we saw the chemistry, a long rally, a lob from Jen, a smash from Fernandez that wasn't quite put away, and then Eala stepped in and crushed a backhand cross-court winner. The break, the stadium erupted, 4-3 for the underdogs. From there, they didn't look back. They held serve with ease and then broke Mladenovic to take the set 6-3. One set all, the narrative had flipped. The shock was brewing in WTA doubles. The third set is a super tiebreak, first to 10 points. This is a lottery. It is a sprint. It tests your nerves more than your skill. Every error is magnified. Every winner is gold. It started horribly for Eala and Jen. They went down 0-3 immediately. Fernandez hit an ace, and Mladenovic hit 2 reflex volley winners. The experience gap seemed to be showing again. The veterans knew how to start fast. But at 0-3, Alex showed why she is the future of Asian tennis. She didn't panic. She served a bomb down the tee, unturnable, 1-3. Then, during a rally, Jen hit a reflex volley that clipped the net cord and trickled over. A bit of luck, sure, but you make your own luck. 2-3. The points traded back and forth, 4-4, 5-5, 6-6. The tension was suffocating. You could hear a pin drop before every serve, followed by an explosion of noise after every point. At 7-7, a moment of brilliance from Janice Jen. Fernandez hit a swinging volley that looked like a sure winner. Jen guessed right, lunged, and hit a block volley lob over Mladenovic's head. It landed squarely on the baseline. It was a shot of the tournament. 8-7. Now Eala serving. She missed her first serve. The tension ramped up. Second serve, a risky kick serve out wide. Fernandez stepped in to crush it, but mistimed it slightly, sending it long. 9-7, match point. 2 match points for the Southeast Asian Dream Team. The final point is etched in my mind. Jen serving. She went for the body serve on Mladenovic. Mladenovic blocked it back. Eala crossed, looking to poach, but Mladenovic saw it and went down the line. Eala adjusted mid-air, literally changing direction in a split second, and managed to get a racket on it, dinking a drop volley that died in the clay, or rather the hard court, but died like it was in quicksand. Fernandez scrambled. She got there. She flicked it up, but Jen was waiting. An overhead smash, not powered, but placed right between the two legends. Game, set, match. Eala and Jen. The scoreline, 4-6, 6-3, 10-7. Why is this shocking? Because on paper, Fernandez and Mladenovic should have won that super tiebreak 9 times out of 10. They have been there before. They have the trophies. But Eala and Jen played with a hunger that simply overpowered the resume of their opponents. Let's analyze the key statistics that defined this upset. First, breakpoint conversion. In the second set, Eala and Chen were 2 for 2 on breakpoints. Clinical. They didn't get many chances, but when they got a look, they took it. Compare that to the first set where they were 0 for 4. That mental shift was the difference. Second, net dominance. Surprisingly, the team that won the net battle in the second half of the match wasn't the team with Mladenovic. It was Eala and Jen. Jen's fearless poaching disrupted the rhythm of the opponents. They forced Fernandez and Mladenovic to aim for smaller and smaller targets, leading to unforced errors. Third, the lefty factor. Having 2 lefties on the court, Fernandez and Eala, creates weird spin dynamics, but Eala used her lefty advantage better in the ad court. Her cross-court forehand into Fernandez's backhand, a lefty-on-lefty battle, was consistently deeper and heavier. Eala was winning the baseline exchanges against Fernandez, which forced Mladenovic to try and intervene, leaving gaps open. We also have to talk about the civil war aspect. Leylah Fernandez is a competitor. She does not like to lose. There were moments in that match where she was firing herself up, screaming, "Come on," in a way we usually only see in Grand Slam singles matches. She treated Eala not as a junior compatriot, but as a legitimate threat, and Eala responded in kind. There was no deference. Eala didn't look at Fernandez as a star she aspires to be. She looked at her as the obstacle she had to remove. That psychological shift is massive for Alexa. She is no longer just happy to be here. She belongs here. And for Janice Jen, this is a career-defining moment. To stand toe-to-toe with Kristina Mladenovic and not just survive, but thrive, that puts her on the radar of every tennis scout and coach in the world. It validates the Indonesian tennis program's efforts. It proves that her run in Sao Paulo was not a fluke. This victory sends Eala and Shen into the quarterfinals of a WTA 500 event. The ranking points they gather here are substantial. For Eala, it solidifies her place in the top 50 and pushes her towards the top 40. For Chen, it's a massive leap up the doubles rankings. But beyond the points, it's a statement. The whole Asia Shocked headline isn't clickbait, it's a reality check for the tour. A new power block is forming in the doubles circuit. It's young, it's hungry, and it hails from Southeast Asia. As we wrap up this extensive coverage, I want to leave you with a thought about what this night actually signifies in the world of tennis. The narrative has long been dominated by Europe and North America. We have had our Asian champions, Lina, Naomi Osaka, the legends of doubles like Ai Sugiyama and Kui Qing. But what we are seeing now with Alexandra Eala and Janice Chen is the next wave. It is a wave that is interconnected. A Filipino and an Indonesian, rivals turned partners, taking down a transatlantic giant. This match at the Mubadala Abu Dhabi Open wasn't just a win, it was a notification. It was a notification to the locker room that you cannot underestimate the Southeast Asian pairing. You cannot bank on experience alone. For Alex Eala, this week in Abu Dhabi is turning into a fairy tale, alive in singles and now creating magic in doubles. She is proving that she has the stamina and the versatility to compete on multiple fronts at the highest level. For Janice Chen, the world is now watching. She has stepped out of the shadows and into the spotlight. We will continue to track their journey in the quarterfinals. Who awaits them? It doesn't matter. After tonight, they will fear no one. The chemistry is locked in, the confidence is sky high, and the support from the fans, millions of them watching online, and the thousands in the stands, is a wind beneath their wings that other teams simply do not have. This has been a special update. The headlines will scream shock, but for those of us who have watched the steady grind, the hard work, and the brilliance of these young women, it is not a shock, it is a destiny fulfilled. Make sure you keep your notifications on. We will be back with the quarterfinal preview, analyzing their next opponents and breaking down the tactical adjustments they need to make to keep this dream run alive. For now, from the Mubadala Abu Dhabi Open, this is the story of the day. The day Southeast Asia stood tall, the day the giants fell, the day the shockwave hit the tennis world. I'm signing off. Keep your eyes on the ball and keep your hearts in the game. Good night.